right. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And it is 6:30 right now. If you can actually go ahead and show us for that. And Paula, if we can go ahead and take care of roll call, please.
District 1 Alderman Miguel Aguirre.
Here.
District 2 Alderman Richard Hughes.
Here.
District 3 Alderman David Emery.
Here.
District 4 Alderman Michael Rodriguez.
Here.
And District 5 Alderman Charles Cate.
Here.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you can all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it, Council. We're going to go ahead and go into item number 4, and this is a public hearing. A, conduct a public hearing concerning an ordinance amending Section 46-303, use of regulations of Division 6B2, Section Secondary Business District of Article 5, Districts and District Regulation of Chapter 46, Zoning of the Code of Ordinance by removing trailer camp or mobile home park from the allowable uses of B2 Secondary Business District. Zach? While you're bringing that over, citizens to be heard are going to be limited to 3 minutes each. Attorney General Opinion, JC0169.
All right, so Mayor and Council, obviously, as the caption indicated, so this evening we have in front of us an item to amend the zoning regulations, Chapter 46, more specifically the B2 zoning district. So since, as far as I can tell, since the inception of the zoning ordinance, it has listed mobile home parks or trailer camps as an allowable use in the B2 zoning district. However, looking at some items that have come before this body and the Zoning Commission previously, back in about 2008 or so, y'all adopted a R3 zoning district, which was specifically called out for manufactured home parks, and actually was also, I believe, at the time, the Mobile Home Commission and stuff like that was put into place. And so really, when looking at the zoning ordinance, it really doesn't make sense that the mobile home parks are listed along with other commercial uses in the B2 zoning district. And being that this other R3 zoning district is already in place, it's more of a cleanup. So we're looking to amend and remove that specific allowable use from B2. And that way, going forward, any property that would like to become a mobile home park would have to rezone their property R3 to match up with the regular zoning ordinance of R3. And so obviously this item did go before the Zoning Commission on Monday night during their meeting. And they have, I think their voting form is on the dais for y'all there, but they did recommend approval of the amendment as written. So I will turn it over because I know there's a lot of residents that would like to speak as well.
If you don't mind, Jack,
Yeah.
really, just for everyone's benefit, briefly describe what B2 generally means.
Yeah, so B2 is called Secondary Business District. When you read it, it's a lot of I would say larger commercial type businesses. So I think in there you have listed more specifically bakeries, automobile repair garages, dance halls, skating rinks, frozen food locker plant, laundry, cleaning, hotels, and motels. So that gives you a kind of gist. It also includes anything in B1, which is kind of a more smaller kind of, so banks and things like that, more retail-based business districts or businesses. But that gives you what the rest of the kind of commercial uses that are listed in B2 are. So, yeah.
So what are, you mentioned B3? Can you explain the B3 thing?
I don't have B3 in front of me, but I'm happy to get that before, and I can explain it in the action item.
The R3?
Or R3.
R3?
R3, yeah. So R3 is specifically for manufactured home. When you read it, the only allowable use within that is manufactured homes, and then I think it It does also allow for single family homes to also be located in it, but it was primarily designed for specifically manufactured home parks.
All right. Before we actually get started and we start calling folks in, has everybody who needed to speak has signed in? Everybody signed in? I just want to make sure that we track. All right. We're going to go ahead and get started with a public hearing. Everybody's going to have 3 minutes to go ahead and do that. This is the opportunity when you come and I call your name for you to come forward. Go ahead and state your name, your address. Once again, a reminder, there's no interaction. This is your opportunity to make a point for the council to actually take into consideration. But there's no interaction between the council and who is speaking, okay? All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Mr. Collins, come on up, sir.
Thank you very much. Kevin Collins, 19233 North Prairie Street. I'll be speaking on my own behalf. My mother's also in the room, signed up and has seated me her 3 minutes. I don't think it'll take 6. The first thing we want to say is we strongly support the amendment that's in front of you. We commend Mr. Meadows and the staff for putting this forward. I was at the Planning and Zoning Commission on Monday, and they did a good job of taking it up, and I think it's an improvement for the city. What I'm here to talk about is the idea that there's an existing proposed project that's going to come before this council potentially, and I want to give this council some background opportunity on that to think about it. And I want to be clear that the reason why you're voting tonight to remove mobile homes from B2 is because you have a lot of red in your zoning map, and you don't want a bunch of mobile home parks next to houses. That's sort of the point of what it is that you're doing tonight. And when you have a proposed project for one of these parcels, 2 of these parcels that want to, be converted to R3 ultimately, so they can put mobile homes there, you really have to take a step back and make sure that that's what you want to do. Those 2 parcels are next to lot houses. The Medinas are here, for example, at the Planning and Zoning Commission. My mother's house is next to it, and they really don't want a large mobile home park next to those houses. And so it's something to think about. And, a lot of the community has heard this phrase, well, this project's grandfathered in. That's not your legal standard, right? The idea that somebody purchased a piece of property, relied on a representation, or has an agreement to purchase a piece of property and develop the property, that's not the standard under the law, right? You've got to look at your zoning rules and understand what it is you're supposed to be doing as a council. And you can look at 46.2, right? The idea is lessen congestion, prevent overcrowding of the land, avoid undue concentration of population, make sure that there's appropriate transportation, water, sewage, and other amenities for the area. Make sure it's particularly suitable given the other housing that's in the area. In a large project that's going to put hundreds of mobile homes in that area around these really nicely built houses is not going to be suitable for that. And so that's really why I'm here, because I think it's a multi-step thought process, and I wanted to get that issue out in front of you while you were thinking about the zoning change, so that you could give that some thought, because the standard is what's in your zoning ordinance. It's not, well, we bought the property and we wanted to develop it. You changed it from B2 to you removed what we wanted to do under B2, and so now we're going to go get it changed, and you should let us do that. That's not your standard. The other thing I wanted to raise in the amount of time I have left is I'm actually very concerned about the zoning history of at least one of these parcels that's going to be the subject of this future change or proposed change. I'm not entirely certain that zoning change to B2 was done appropriately. And that's something that the council and the city should look into before they start making decisions, because it would be a tremendous injustice to go from what was R1 for almost as long as the city of Lytle had zoning, it was R1, and then all of a sudden to jump to R3. And I think there may be some history there that this council really wants to look at. My family had owned that land and still owns a portion of that land to this very day. Mr. Harris bought some of that land from my grandmother in 1985. And I went back and looked at the granting language. There's nothing in the deed records that has a specific restriction on the future use of the property. But I can tell you, the understanding, at least on the Collins side of this, was there would never be a mobile home park on that 12.93 acres that shares a fence line with my mother's property now. And there never was. And, I don't know if it's a coincidence, maybe it's just bad timing, But I know my father died on November the 20th last year, and now I'm here fighting against a mobile home park. So I just wanted to bring those issues up. I think when you have families that have come to Lytle, they've bought a house, they really didn't expect, several hundred mobile homes in their backyard. That's going to affect the value of their property. And I see tremendous growth, tremendous leadership in the city. I see these new developments on old farms that are houses. This city can sustain houses and sustain the families and the professionals that want to come here, send their kids to your schools, and contribute to the tax base. And I would just hate for a project to get, quote, grandfathered in, not in light of the zoning standard, and decrease the value of those houses and decrease the opportunity. That 12.93 acres, it could be used for something better than a mobile home park. And so I just leave you with that. But just to be clear, what's in front of you tonight is amending your B2 zoning ordinance, and I'm 100% in support of that for the same reasons why you'll hear me say I'm 100% against a mobile home project on that land and converting that land. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Appreciate that. All right. Let's go ahead and have, I think it's Mr. and Mrs. Medina. Okay.
So my name is Daniel Medina, 19662 Martin Street. So we were here Monday for the zoning meeting, and obviously, described the situation and why we felt very strongly about it. And I think one of the things we want to convey to the entire council this evening, from our perspective, is Mr. Meadows hit on some of that. Is we moved here with the intention of moving into an established neighborhood, right, with houses, single family dwellings already established, without the headaches or the pressures of a homeowner association. But when we moved here, we purchased we worked through with Mr. Grothues when we purchased the property. And one of the things that he was very clear about to us when we moved here is that you can't have a business on these properties. It's very clear that we want these to remain houses for the purpose of, living in them, not renting them out, not being made into any other uses except residential. So to the council, want to just, behalf of my wife and myself, is we support the change to the zoning requirements. We feel that there's many residents here in Lytle that, want to respect their neighborhoods, want to respect the way the neighborhoods were set up and developed. And so, and want to maintain that lifestyle and that quality of life. And we're very proud of the neighborhood that we have. I'm not taking away from anyone who lives in a manufactured home or a rental property or a fixed home, but we want to make sure that for what we invested in our community, that we continue seeing city council support on this amendment. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Mrs. Harris? Yep. Come on. Oh, Mr. Harris. Okay. I think we have both. Okay. So you're going to state your time for him? Oh. Okay. Okay. Are you going to make comments, ma'am? Nope. Okay.
Sir? Dave Emery.
How you doing, sir? Ms. Harris?
Any,
We'll go ahead and start the time. Okay.
any voting that takes place, I'd like to see it called, because I don't hear that well. So if you ask for a vote, I'd like for them to raise their hand.
Mm-hmm. We usually, all those in favor and everybody raises their hand, I think. That's common. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, I'm just telling you, I don't hear that well, and I might have to ask, you might have to ask me again if you have a question. But anyhow, been around this business a long time. And, have some things I'd like to ask.
Okay. Just for awareness, sir. We are on time. Okay. So you got 2 minutes. Okay.
How long did you give that fellow?
The two had signed up and she abstained and gave the time. So if you have somebody else that signed up,
Go
Mrs.
sign
Harris,
up. Okay,
you can do that.
all right.
Okay.
That's, I think, is the proper thing to do for the landowner to be included in the decision that we going to make. You know, I found out about it by hearsay at the other meeting. I didn't find out till last night, the one before. So I did get one today. You know, if you're going to approve somebody's property, get them in on it too. Don't have this bully politics stuff. So, I've been here a long time, and I think I've done a pretty good job with controlling the situation, just like a homeowner policy would. You know, whenever you come out and say, well, you're going to have to do this, and if you don't do it, it's a $2,000 a day penalty. You know, that's really politics. And we don't do that in a lot of places. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but, you know, I hear say, well, it was in the meeting, and it's on tape that I visited the funeral because he thought I was wanting to see what was going on with Charlie. Let me tell you, Charlie and I, since he was a kid, I mean, we wrote together and everything, and I never heard him ever say a word about it, even after we got it. So I think that when I continue to look at this, don't confuse me with the facts my mind's made up.
Yes. So, Mr. Harris, talk to the council while you're
Am I talking to the council?
where you were directing your comments towards the audience. So this is your opportunity to go ahead and address your council. Okay.
Well, it looks to me like that you guys need to put this off and work a little bit on it instead of ramming it down anybody's throat with a house threat of $2,000 a day penalty. And I don't know who brought this up. You know, it says you were asked, a request to amend the official zoning map. Who's it pulled from? It's got to be a name. Somebody's got to ask you for a request. Who was it?
This is your opportunity to speak to us, sir. This is not the time, just like I mentioned before, there's no interaction.
I think I deserve to know who brought this up.
Sir, you have your time to go ahead and make your comments.
Well, again, it's, you know, you've got a lot of power. Some of you guys I know, some of them I've never seen, but I want to tell you, I hope you do the right thing, because if not, it won't help the city in, and it certainly won't help the property. That's all I
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. I think Mr. Homer, come on up, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Thank you for your time, this opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Casey Homer. I'm affiliated with Lytle MHC. Our office address there is 19724 Creek Street. I've been working with the Harris family for a couple of years now and working with the city to go through the process. When I first came to the city, I approached the city and had several questions about the ordinances, specifically Section 24. I would agree with Zachary. There are terms in there that aren't quite accurate to today's legal description of manufactured homes. There's references to trailer camps. There's, the term mobile home, which is not technically correct. There's also a requirement for a permit or a license, which the city doesn't have a process for issuing or maintaining. I've worked with other cities in the past that do have similar requirements, and we're able to go through that in a fairly easy fashion. Since the last couple of years of going back and forth with the city, we currently have an administratively approved preliminary plat. Going back and forth on construction docs, we have our construction docs that were prepared in accordance with City of Lidle's ordinances and codes. And we're in the last steps of trying to get the TxDOT improvement along Benton City Road, trying to get those construction docs finalized. I was a bit surprised when the first round of notices went out to change the B2 allowable uses, because I would agree that it doesn't quite make sense. You have the R3 district that was created in 2008, and this is really just a cleanup effort to represent the new structure or the new codes, integrating that R3 use or the R3 zoning distinction. However, this should have been done back then. There's no surprise that these properties are manufactured home communities and are being used for this. We are vested in our rights as property owners, and there are protections, state law, for non-conforming use. However, long-term, there are significant downsides with being in a non-conforming use regarding improvements or other burdens or responsibilities of ownership, property ownership, that we'd want to be able to do in the future, and this might limit our ability to do that. I was a bit surprised with the first time the notices went out. I was really hoping that I would agree with Mr. Harris that we could have worked together a little bit better on this, because it's no surprise that this is the use that we have, and there's no existing R3 zoned properties in the city. So to go through and we're going to say we're going to update B2, but not give anybody that's in B2 using that use the opportunity to try and concurrently run or dual track the processes, I don't think is entirely fair. However, the first time that the process did not go through, we immediately submitted those rezoning applications. So I look forward to hearing this again on March 18th and the 25th. I asked two things of City Council is one, please establish a protocol for your licensing of mobile home parks, and please table this item until March 25th when both items can be heard at the same time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Homer. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Mr. Kling?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Rob Killen. I'm a land use attorney with the law firm of Killen, Griffin, and Fairmont. Our address is 10101 Reunion Place. Here on behalf of Lytle MHC, you just heard from Casey Homer from Lytle MHC. We have helped him with and have been helping him with land use questions, and he asked us about this property. So Casey has had this property under development, has been working with the city for well over a year. It is zone B2. Manufactured housing is allowed currently in B2. And we sent a letter to you a few weeks ago. And I don't have a copy of it in front of you. Really just reiterating our non-conforming use rights and urging you to leave manufactured housing in B2. Or as Casey requested just a moment ago, wait until making this decision until we're able to, in about 3 weeks, present our request to rezone to R3. First of all, I want to applaud the city of Lytle for having an R3 district and recognizing the importance of having a diversity of housing types. There are communities that say, we want to exclude manufactured housing, we don't want apartments, we don't want those kinds of people living in our community. And you have done the opposite. You've said, we want to create an R3 district, and that's specifically for manufactured housing, have standards that apply to manufactured housing communities. Your action tonight, I agree, is making your code consistent with your R3, saying, look, we have B2, we have it in here, but we have R3, so let's go ahead and take it out of B2. Unfortunately, what that does is it creates a non-conforming situation for our client. And so speaker a little while ago talked about non-conforming rights, and I would direct the council, you've got great legal advice here, but you have provisions in state law and even in your ordinance that protect non-conforming rights, including recent changes to state law, Senate Bill 929, for example, which is intended to protect non-conforming rights. So we have those rights. We think we can continue, and would ask you that you defer tonight's decision until we can rezone this property to R3. We're going to be here in just 3 weeks.
The other thing I'd like to address was the comment about this not being zoned, potentially not being zoned. I know that was raised the other night. I'm just going to hand this to you and point out that this property is the subject to a master development plan and preliminary plan. These are two provisions from the City of Lytle City Code. 36-40 in part reads, when you submit a preliminary plat, the city engineer shall check the preliminary plat as to its conformity with a number of things, including zoning districts. And then section 46-165, boundaries of districts are indicated on the official zoning map of the City of Lytle. So with that, we think we've got the proper zoning. We think it's been thoroughly vetted. We would ask that you defer a decision on the B2 change until after we presented our request to change to R3. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
All right. Is it Mr. Walson? Is that correct? I don't want to mispronounce. Christopher? Oh, come on up, sir. Okay. No problem, sir. Okay. And Miss Pilgrim.
My name is Shannon Pilgrim. I live at 15015 Gate Street. I'm not sure I understood what Mr. Meadows said earlier. I thought he said that everyone in attendance at the meeting Monday was pretty much in agreement with this ordinance. I don't know if that's what he meant or if he meant just the three committee members were in favor of it. I can tell you that just about all the homeowners I've talked to, and I've talked to many, they're against this. They want to see that open up. They want to see other families have the same opportunity that they've had. I kind of take offense to several people that have come up to speak, whether it was Monday night or tonight, and made it kind of sound like we're undesirable. I'm not low class, I'm not white trash, and I'm not low income. But yes, I live in a mobile home, and I live in probably one of the cleanest, nicest mobile homes in Atascosa County, Medina County, and a few other counties. It's something that I think Lytle should be very proud of. Not only should they be proud of it, they should be happy that they have management that takes their job as seriously as y'all would like them to. Keep it looking nice, keep everything. But to come in and kind of, I feel like I'm sitting there listening to, yeah, they're running drug deals out the back door, and that is not the case. And I'm sorry if people think that mobile homes are such an eyesore that they can't be in the same district as a brick and mortar home. You know, if times get really bad, people may not have a choice but to live in mobile homes. And that might be an option. And part of what the city should be doing is having forward thinking as well. Why does it have to be rezoned right now? What is the rush right now? But I think I might have found out tonight, speaking to the affiliate with the Lytle Mobile Home Park, I find out that they have a hearing on the 25th. We have to ram this through before the 25th comes. It would probably be a little bit harder to get it rezoned 2 weeks after it was already unrezoned, or whatever you want to call it. So what I'm here tonight to ask is, please don't do this, because this has been a mess. Our 10-day notice doesn't have a date on it. This notice that we got has the wrong date. People thought that this meeting was next Monday night because of the way this was written. We were not allowed in the first meeting or that meeting before because they didn't notify us. You also had the opportunity for 4 months to go over this. We found out Monday, Tuesday I could do my due diligence, and Wednesday you're voting on it. Give us time to do our due diligence. It's not fair to us, and we live there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's go ahead and with the public hearing. I don't think we have anybody else that has signed up. I just want to double check. Anybody else? Okay. Just want to make sure. Going once, going twice. Okay. Paula, if you can actually show us closing the actual public hearing at 7 p.m. Appreciate that. Council, let's go ahead and move on into the open session. This is to take action on the items discussed. And it's A, consider and act upon ordinance number 24-07, an ordinance amending section 46-303, use regulations of Division 6, B2 Secondary Business District of Article 5, districts, and district regulation of Chapter 46 zoning of the Code of Ordinances by removing trailer camp or mobile home park from the allowable uses of B2 Secondary Business District, providing for severity, providing a savings clause and an effective date, and providing a penalty of an amount of not exceeding $2,000 per day for each day constituting a new violation. Zach?
I don't necessarily have anything unless y'all have questions. I do want to make sure I reiterate, I think it was mentioned that it was unclear whether I said those in who were in favor Monday night, and it was the commission that voted 3-0, and that was the comment that I was trying to make. So if that got a little cross, I apologize, but yeah, that's all I have unless y'all have specific questions from myself.
Council?
Yeah, I got a couple questions, Zach.
Sure.
And they're all procedural in nature because
Sure.
I think one of the issues that the people here tonight that everyone's probably taking exception to is the notification.
Yeah.
And I know Senate Bill 929 was briefly mentioned earlier. I don't think we've really gone in and talked about that, but I think that was kind of what pushed back the public hearing from February to Monday night, right? It's because we weren't properly notifying everybody. So
Yes, sir.
really, I think Mr. Collins brought that up Monday night at the meeting too, is the notice. So really, my question is, after hearing that, and the caveat in the change in the law is all occupants, right? It's not just real property owners; it's the people residing in those homes as well. So,
yes, sir.
My question for this is how we went about identifying that, and how did we notify everyone?
Yeah, so we did. Well, I'll start off by saying yes, the Senate Bill 929 did change how we have to notice regarding zoning changes or zoning regulation changes. Obviously, that is why the council meeting that was taken up and there was a public hearing scheduled for y'all, as well as the action item, was not taken because it was found that changes based on that bill were made that now we have to notify occupants of any property in question, as well as the property owners. Years and years and decades of the law, it's been property owners, and understandably, they want more notification to be put out. And so the legislature passed that, and ultimately governor signed. And so now we have to notify additional people when making these changes. As far as we sent out probably 600 plus notices when it came out in the end. We worked with, I believe, our utility billing software. Paula probably can speak to more because she was the one pulling the addresses. We worked obviously with the individual CADs to determine, properties, property owners, and then working through the information we had as far as the occupants are concerned when it comes to who's actually getting utility bills and things like that. So there was a larger mass of people that were notified this second time around based on the fact that we obviously missed the mark the first time, and we recognized that, and so we corrected that going forward.
So guarantees on everyone getting notified, because what the concerning thing that I heard Monday night was speaker, I'm not sure who it was, but she said, hey, people were not being notified of this.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you do that really because of the change in the law.
Yeah.
And maybe everyone doesn't have a post office box. Maybe everyone doesn't have a mailbox. So
yeah, I mean, we feel as the city, and I could probably let Molly, as our city attorney, speak to it a little bit more, but we feel that we have substantially complied with our notice requirements. We did, and we said this Monday night, we had a stack, of notices that have come back, as either unclaimed or whatnot, but which is proof in and of itself that we have made our attempt, to try to notify as much as we can according to the statute. So.
Oh, I mean, I can comment on the frustrations of having returned mail that, you got to comply with the law, because I'm doing something right now and having to deal with that. So it's a frustrating process. I just want to make sure we are protected if we're going to make changes to our zoning, and not just for this, for everything in the future, right? How
Correct.
does that affect us? I mean, so
Correct.
anyways, we could talk about that some other time. Next procedural question I had, is this voting form, does this constitute the final written report
Correct.
from the zoning commission?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
That was my thing.
Yes, sir.
That we cannot take action
Correct.
without that final written report.
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
I put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
That's why you had the job. You previously stated that this change in the B2, right, removing the trailer camps, it wouldn't affect the existing manufactured homes in the city or the manufactured home communities that we already have in existence.
That's correct. So obviously those manufactured home parks would, as has been referenced tonight, would become non-conforming with this particular change. But as far as residents remaining in those homes, the ability to move homes in and out of those properties are all governed under either our statutes of nonconformities or state statute for nonconforming structures.
Okay, so I'm understanding you correctly then. Once a home moves out, then a new one couldn't come in if it doesn't get rezoned to R3?
No, that's not correct. There are provisions within Chapter 211 of the zoning code that do allow for specifically called out manufactured home parks, where they would still be allowed to move homes in and out just as they do today.
Okay.
So.
And what effect will this have on the proposed development?
So, Molly, I would refer to you on the proposed development.
So the non-conforming becomes if you try to change the use, you can continue your use as a mobile home on the property. If it burns down, you can put a new mobile home on the property. If you remove the mobile home and sell the property, or if the use changes, then at that point you can no longer have the mobile home there. Your grandfather to continue living, nobody's gonna push you out of your home. Nobody's going to find you every day. The ordinance would be an ordinance change. It's all ordinances are enforced by a civil penalty, usually of a fine up to $2,000 a day. That's standard wording that has to be used. It's not something that tomorrow everybody that lives in a mobile home is going to be fined $2,000 a day. That's not what's happening. What's happening is we're trying to fix our zoning code. So the requester is the city of Lytle fixing our zoning code to be in line with the use for B2, which is not any type of residential. It's business uses. Residential mobile home districts are in R3. That is something that will be addressed at a future meeting. That is not what is before you right now. What is before you right now is B2 change based on what's appropriate in that zoning. Is a mobile home or a mobile home park appropriate as part of our B2 zoning? Whether something becomes R3 at a later date is not before you right now. But again, there are state statutes that will apply. If a development in general has already started, then it is considered vested rights on the process they started when they started it. You can't change the game, the rules of the game in the middle of the game. So depending on what that development is and what stage that development is in by law will be reviewed at that time. That is not before you right now.
One final question.
Yes,
I promise.
it's fine.
Does the proposed change comply with our comprehensive plan?
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily reference specifics within the comprehensive plan. I've looked through there as far as everything. I think this was contemplated as commercial property just because if we're speaking about the existing mobile home park, right? Or are we speaking as far as, or just in general?
Looking at citywide, removing the allowable use that we talked about tonight.
Yeah.
Does this, I guess, gel with what we've already
Yeah, I would.
planned? I mean, this was way before your time.
Sure.
Right? Before, I think we go time on the council.
Yeah.
But going off of that plan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, zoning changes should be going off of what.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I think the idea of the comprehensive plan was to protect residential areas, and obviously further our commercial property and things like that. It has references to that, and I think by removing, then placing it where it properly should be, does both of those things.
Not a question, but a comment.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, the council talked about doing a comprehensive code review. And I think this issue is a prime example of the need for that. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Council? Being the district representative for the Harris Mobile Home, just want to ask specific question. They're not going anywhere. Mobile home park will stay there. Residents will still be able to live there.
Yes.
The future development is up for question, but they're grandfathered in.
Yes, that is correct.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2407, an ordinance amending section 46303, use regulation of Division 6, B2, secondary business district of Article 5 district, and district regulations of Chapter 46 zoning of the Code of Ordinance by removing trailer camp or mobile home park from the allowable use of B2 secondary business district, providing for servability, providing a service clause this day, March 6, 2024, and providing a penalty in the amount of not to exceed $2,000 per day for each day constituting a new violation.
Okay. Have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I would second that.
Okay. Now, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Yes, sir.
So, if I understand this right, so like the Harris, they can't be touched. But if there's a new place that's getting developed, that's where the change is gonna be, right? It would let them know that they can't be.
What Molly was describing is that basically anything that was already submitted and it's going through the process is already going through the process. So when you look at this, this would be if somebody would come in and look into a B2, a new B2 area, and say, hey, I want to go ahead and put a mobile home there. Okay.
Yeah. Or, and if I can just add on that, or if this is approved, right, then any property that somebody said, I want to have a mobile home park on, the only way that they could do that is to rezone their property to R3. So it doesn't necessarily have to be today sitting as B2. It could be R1. It could be B3. But if they're wanting to do that going forward, if this is approved in the way it is, then that would be the process to go through for that particular development. So,
good question. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay, I do not believe that we've provided proper notice to everybody involved with this matter.
Okay, so let record show, Mr. Harris, we had 4 yays and we had 1 nay. Okay. All right. All right, council, let's go ahead, and it's 7:14. If I have a motion for us to go ahead and adjourn.
I move that we adjourn, Mayor.
Have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening.